Hello everyone. Today I'd like to speak with you about the intersection between impermanence and commitment. Because I feel that oftentimes those two concepts stay very far away from each other in our consciousness. So many times we would go towards a relationship or a project and be afraid actually even to step into it because we have seen our projects and relationships fail before, so we are afraid of committing to a new one. Or it can be that we already have committed to something, but then somehow we're afraid of its breaking and we are really kind of holding on to it tightly because it might break. And that is creating tension, it's creating pressure for us and for everybody else that's involved in it. And I feel like this has been a really big topic for me lately because somehow another layer of my fear of failure, which has been a big theme in my life, has recently come up. And when I really sat down and sunk into it, I found something very interesting. I found that underneath my fear of failure, there was an undercurrent of really a refusal to accept the reality of impermanence that really is something that is happening in our universe and in our lives. It's just things come and things go. That's one of the main principles of Vipassana and Eastern philosophy. There's these Buddhist traditions where these priests are sitting down and making these extraordinarily beautiful mandalas with different colors, and it's so pretty, and they sit for days and weeks and they make them, and then they just spill them over, and just as a way of just letting go of their creation. And there's been something of that I find it's been really hard for me to embrace, which is that whatever relationships I go into or whatever I create, eventually in the big scheme of things will fall apart. And the way in which I've been refusing to accept these realities, I've had this desire to make something big and obvious and successful and hold it up for everybody to see. And there is nothing wrong with that. It's just that it comes from a space of attachment. It comes from a space of, I need to make this happen in order to fulfill my purpose really in this world. And what I've been finding is really that once I saw this fear and I saw the refusal of accepting reality that was inherent in it, I felt this really liberation, this sense of, hey, who said that I'm supposed to be making things that are big and and shiny and demonstrating them to people and all of that? Who said that by just approaching my relationships with this open mind to be impacted and to impact others in turn, like each and every relationship I have and each and every action I take into this world will have its ripples, will have its subtle and even bigger impacts on others and on myself. And can that be enough? Can that be, a place from which I can approach things, a place from which I can just go and be like, you know what? I can commit to what I am on this earth for, which is connection and playfulness. And I can go into these different projects and initiatives and relationships and just be like, yes, this is an expression of my commitment to those values, but I don't really hold so strongly onto the form this can take. And actually, I want to celebrate impermanence while I do that. I want to celebrate the fact that it's gonna bend and it's gonna break and it's gonna take a million different shapes. And as it does that, it's gonna create all the impacts I want it to be having on others and on this world. And that's been really a big shift in my consciousness, which is why I really want to offer you just two simple questions to consider if you haven't done so lately, because sometimes it's also good to remind ourselves of this, which is, number one, what do you feel you are committed to in your life? Not in terms of a specific form of something that you want to be creating, but more like a value or a feeling or an experience you want to create for yourself and others. So for example, for me, that has to do with connection and playfulness, and for you it might have to do with freedom, it might have to do with contribution, it might have to do with care, just looking deeply within your heart and connecting to what is it that this unique expression of life that I am, what does it want to bring out that feels like an important thing to contribute to this big orchestra of life I'm part of? And how can I honor that? And somehow that's the first question. What am I committing to? And the second question is, how can I embrace impermanence and creating different forms and experimenting with different approaches to bringing this into reality? What are the different shapes it can take? And what is the shape that I feel drawn to right now? The specific form that I feel drawn to right now? And how can I approach this form with this a bit more playfulness, a little bit more, yeah, that can work, it can also fail, and if it fails, something more beautiful will emerge, and I can trust that. And this is really my message for you today, and my reminder, because I felt like I've really needed that myself. So I'm just gonna trust that if I've needed that, maybe some of you also could use some reminder like that. So I hope this has been useful, guys, and I wish you a beautiful day.